I think we go O-line again with our first pick. And the kid I like is the kid out of Penn State by the name of, I'm gonna butcher this, Olia Babega Ione. That sounded good. It sounded like I might have said it right, but he goes by Vega Ione. He is a guard out of Penn State. This man is a mauler, CB, in the mode of Isaac Siamalu. I think he might be a little bit more physical. He's definitely younger, definitely has more gas in the tank. But Isaac Siamalu obviously left us, went to Arizona. He's somebody I think an Ione, and there's another guard in Oregon named Pegram, who was a first team All American last year. If they go with either one of those with their first pick at number 21, it's not sexy. It's not going to make fans scream and yell and be all happy in our first draft in Pittsburgh. It might get a couple of boos because it's a name that is not sexy, but it is something I think we need. Even though I have a lot of faith in Spencer Anderson, we have too many holes on the left side of that O-line. And if we're going to be starting a rookie quarterback, that is the position that has to be solidified quick, fast, and in a hurry.
It has to, and this is something that Omar Khan and Andy Weidel, they focused on. They want to make sure that they're securing the trenches. Last year went defensive line with the first pick. It wouldn't surprise me if they go offensive line. And I think when you're looking at the pick that you mentioned, absolutely, this is fits right into what Pittsburgh is trying to do, especially with the unfortunate news of Broderick Jones that are happening. And I know we were speculating over the last couple weeks as it relates to is he on the team? Is he not on the team? But we were speaking as it relates to if he was healthy. But right
Mhm.
now, this information that's coming out and unsure whether he's going to be ready for the 2026 season. Now the question is going to be, the fifth round, a fifth year option, is that going to be picked up? Probably not right now with the news that just happened. So
Right.
with the uncertainty there, it would, yeah, I highly. I'll be shocked if they didn't go offensive line if he's still sitting on the board at 21.
Yeah, that's the thing. There are a lot of teams who need offensive line help, and usually guards, out of all the offensive line position, guards are usually not the ones that get picked in the first round. If I'm not mistaken, the last first round guard that the Steelers took was Kendall Simmons out of Auburn back in 2001, I believe. And he was a late first round pick. And before that, I believe it was Alan Faneca. So, I mean, if the Steelers are going to pick a guard in the first round, they make sure it's a damn good one because those were two of the best, two Super Bowl champions, and they definitely filled in gaps that we needed when we picked them.
And the Steelers do have options here, right? And when
Mhm.
people are forgetting that Troy Fontana, he played left tackle at Washington. So they could flip him over to the left side, but he has to start now in that development process. So we just don't know what they're thinking about. I mean, that's exactly what we've seen many people go from right tackle to left tackle. Marvell Smith, Oliver Ross, Max
Mhm.
Starks. I think Villanueva was playing right side. Trey, you went from right to left. So these
Mhm.
are things that are options for the team. We've seen that happen before. If you do make it, you just now need to get him to start getting those reps back to his original position like he played at Washington. So if that is the case, maybe they look at more of a right tackle or somebody they project that could play right tackle better than left tackle. So that is something that still is on the table because they do have the flexibility with Troy because he is that athletic. But the year he had last year, as he settled into that right tackle,
Right.
does he now, have the time and the patience to now go back and learn it? It's not something that you can do right away, but they have to give him those reps. But that is a guy that can do it if the Steelers choose that that's the direction that they would like to move forward in the future.
Yeah. I mean, and they'll have options outside of guard. There are other tackles that will be around to draft at that position too. But like I'm a little hesitant to move Troy with the year that he had and with the chemistry that him and Mason have formed on the right side. I was always told by a coach, if you can fill in a spot, do that. As opposed to moving two players, only move one. And so if we can do that without moving Troy out of his position and bring in Ione or one of these tackles, that would be my preference.
Give
And
me, give
so
me, give me for people who are listening. How difficult is it to go from right tackle to left tackle, and how much time do you actually need for you to feel comfortable?
you need a whole offseason. That is more drastic than right guard to left guard because you have more of a stagger and more body weight mechanics. Because when you are a left tackle, most of your body weight is on your right foot. That's your plant foot. That's what you kick off of. That's what you change direction with. And obviously, when you're on the right tackle, your left foot. At guard, you're more square. And so it's more 60-40. At tackle, is more 70-30. And so that adjustment of making your right leg the new plant leg and vice versa whenever you're playing left or right tackle is the hardest adjustment to do. A lot of these kids coming out of college have played both sides, so it's easier for them to transition. But even still, to play against the pros, go against these pass rushers that are especially in the AFC North, you got to be on your P's and Q's. He's going to be going against Trey Hendrickson, Miles Garrett, and now Sexy Dexy, Dexter Lawrence with the Cincinnati Bengals. So you got to be on your P's and Q's. And in order to do that, you got to have a whole offseason at the position that you're going to play, unless you're coming in as a utility lineman, which in that case, you need to learn all of them. So, second round, I went with wide receiver. Now, coming into this draft, before we made that trade to get Michael Pittman, we were all looking at wide receiver being the first pick we took with that 21st pick to pair up with DK Metcalf. Now that he has his road dog in Michael Pittman, and I think we'll see more from Roman Wilson in this offense under Mike McCarthy, I still think you need to go wide receiver with the second or third pick. And I think Chris Brazil out of Tennessee offers something intriguing that Pittsburgh hasn't had before. He is 6'4", about 200 pounds, runs a 4.37, had his best year last year for Tennessee, 60 catches with 1,000 yards. And that's with the backup quarterback because the Nico kid ended up going to UCLA. So he had his best year with a quarterback that wasn't even the starter the year before. And so his stock is hot right now. And I think Chris Brazil would fit in perfectly. We would have a trio of wide receivers that were 6'3" or taller. I don't know if there's anybody in the NFL that could say that. And they all have speed. And then we still have Roman Wilson roam in the middle. So I think that would be a good piece in this Mike McCarthy offense.
Yeah, I like where you're going in that direction, but I think a lot of this is going to determine what they do. When I say that, meaning where Roman Wilson going to have a great mini camp,
Mhm.
and if he does, maybe they steer away from the receiver position because they can trust him by being able to get the job done there. If they're not comfortable with him, yes, you can potentially draft that receiver there. But I just don't know they're going to go that direction only because there's still a couple unknowns, right? There's some lot of chatter that's going on that they're potentially going to trade one of these outside linebackers, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig. If that happens, now what are you getting in return? Who's the best player that you may have? And maybe now you need to fill that void of outside linebacker with that rotation because you do have a young stud that's behind all of those guys in Jack Sawyer. So they are very comfortable with him as he's moving his way up there. So I think it's kind of hard to predict what the second round is going to look like because nobody 3 years ago thought that you were going to get Joey Porter at the top of the second round.
Mhm.
And that's why I say this is going to be the remaining players that are available. Again, how do they rank on the Steelers board? I just don't think that the receiver is that high up there based off of the other needs that they have.
That's fair. And mind you, I entered this draft, and the way that Pro Football Network sets this up, which I think is a pretty cool feature, is that you go through the draft and they give you mock trade offers as well. And so there are plenty of times where a team will offer me a trade, and I just, for the purposes of our show, to keep everything smooth and consistent, I just went with the picks that we have. But I almost guarantee that we're going to trade one of these first 3 round picks at some point or another. But if we don't, if we stand pat, this is what I think we should do. And for the 3rd round, I like the kid Kamari Ramsey out of USC, box safety, run stuffer. We need depth. We did sign Jaquan Brisker to a 1-year deal. Hoping to get a healthy Deshaun Elliott back. We still got Ramsey in tow. But we saw what happened last year with our secondary, specifically at the safety position when it was unsettled. We gave up some big plays at the worst absolute time. And so that's one position we had to shore up quick, fast, and in a hurry. We did good. We signed Jamal Dean. I'd imagine we're going to extend Joey Porter Jr. at some point here in the near future. But that secondary, and especially a Steelers secondary, granted, it's going to look different in a Patrick Ricard defense. No, not Ricard. What's Patrick's last name? Graham. The new DC, Patrick Graham, is going to look different in his defense. Don't know if it's going to be so much safety dependent, but historically speaking, the safety is a huge position in the Steelers defense, and we need to settle that quicker than sooner.
Yeah, based off the way the defensive coordinator was speaking, there's going to be a lot of pass coverage that they're going to play, but you need to solidify what that safety position looks like. That's one of the reasons why Jalen Ramsey was moved back into that position. Is he going to stay there? Who knows? And I think the draft is going to determine if he's now going to go slot back to the safety position. But that is a challenge